Alright guys, so this is the Google Pixel 4a. I've been using this phone for around 2 days now. I've still got stuff to test like battery life. I've also got to test out performance, but pretty much this is basically my first impressions after 24 hours. So I've gotten time to kind of get used to the phone and know basically some of its main characteristics. So like camera on the Google Pixel 4a. So yeah, this is Tech Horrors. This is the Google Pixel 4a. And let's hop right into the video. Alright guys, so since this is my full review, I'm just basically going to throw a lot of bunches of things together that I like so far about the Pixel 4a, and then go in depth of stuff like that I'm not liking, or I'm just like not really finding that good with the Pixel 4a. So first off, we're going to start off with obviously the biggest addresser that we need to address first with the Google Pixel 4a, and that is the camera. So basically everyone knows Google cameras absolutely insane. But yeah, a lot of people don't really know how the quality of the camera. I'll post some of the pictures that I've got already right now, and some of these pictures so far are actually stunning. I actually said in the OnePlus Nord review the OnePlus Nord isn't far behind, but kind of doubting that now. I think the Pixel camera's alright when it's regular photos, you know, just the standard camera mode. But where it really shines is portrait mode. Portrait mode, absolutely insane on the Pixel. If you take a portrait mode of someone, it crops in very far, so it looks like it's 2 times zoomed, which is what a lot of professional photographers use. I think it's something like 70mm. I don't really know. I'm not a photographer. But yeah, basically it zooms in 2 times and crops on the image, so you get that really nice like photographer kind of look. And me and my dad were talking about it, and we thought this could actually be good enough to take at a wedding. This photo that you're seeing as my logo on YouTube, that was taken on the Pixel 4a. A lot of you guys may have seen my post on Twitter, basically just talking about that picture and how good it is. It looks like you've basically turned the aperture up insanely on a DSLR, and it just blurs the background perfectly. There's nothing really better on the market for portrait shots at all, really. The shots just, they're just so amazing, and the colour science gets skin tones perfectly, saturation's on point, dynamic range is on point as well. I'm not really a photo nerd, but I know some random stuff about cameras. This also has a 12 megapixel sensor, but honestly, in this case, megapixels do not matter at all. This still produces really sharp and high quality photos, as you guys can already see. I'm very impressed by the camera on the Pixel 4a so far. I can't wait to test it out more, and you guys will expect to see a camera review coming up soon. So yeah, now we've got the main thing addressed, we're going to have to go on to another thing that I do quite like, which is battery life. So on the Pixel 4a, it gets 6 hours of battery life, which for most people is pretty damn good actually. It gets me through an entire day really, because I have to go to school. But I say if you're doing online work and you have to like do a lot of Zoom calls and all things like that, this might not be the perfect phone for you, since it definitely is not the best battery performer in the world. As someone who shoots a lot of 4K video, I've not really been able to test the battery out a lot, but it might not be able to live up to the standard of the OnePlus Nord, which I had before, which was getting 8 hours of battery life, which is pretty insane on a $400 phone or £400 phone, and that is coming to the US soon. So rejoice, you guys can test that out, because I know a lot of you weren't able to test out the OnePlus Nord and like get a grip on how good it is. I will also be comparing this to the OnePlus Nord very shortly, but yeah, honestly, Pixel battery life, pretty decent, not amazing, but you know, it gets by. It's definitely better than the iPhone SE. I wouldn't really suggest that to a lot of people, because the battery life is pretty horrific, because it's got such a power-hungry chip in the A13. Speaking of chips, this is quite a light chip. This is the Snapdragon 730G. I haven't really been able to test it out. I don't really know if it's a strong point in the Pixel 4a. I'd probably say it isn't, because it's not really that close to flagship experience. It ties into software as well, but I've had it stutter quite a few times on me. I've been in the OS and it just won't let me touch the screen, and then it eventually kicks back in like 20 seconds after, which is a bit weird, but it's actually, yeah, it's quite a bit annoying when you've got to like swipe up out of your app, and then you just got to like go back into it. I know it might not seem like a lot, but you know, it's user experience. It's the kind of things you get in. But this is running Android 11, so I think basically some of these bugs that I'm getting with the software are probably not chip based or SoC based. They're probably just testing out new Android 11. Android 11 is already out on the Pixel, which is really cool. You can get 3 years of software updates, which is an absolute huge factor for buying a Pixel. That's why a lot of people buy Pixels, keep them. If you are going to buy this phone, you may want to look into buying a new phone like 2 years after, because I'm not sure the battery will be able to last that long. It probably, after 2 years, probably start giving you like 4 hours, which, to be honest, just isn't enough at this point in 2020. The Google Pixel 4a, it's doing pretty well software-wise. We don't really have much more to talk about, really. But yeah, I'm going to move on to the final point that I really like, which is actually quite weird, but I really like the design of the phone. It's not good at looking at all. Like, it's kind of decent looking. Not really that good. It looks very bland. If you're into like really nice looking phones like the OnePlus Nord, let's say, this isn't your phone. This is just don't buy the Pixel 4a. It's a bit bland looking, bleak, as you'd call it. But it does have a really nice mint power button, which is pretty nice accent. I do like mint. It's my favourite ice cream flavour. But yeah, also talking about the back, you get a fingerprint scanner and also the Google logo. But yeah, what I'm talking about here is why I like the design is the back. So the back is a matte finish. I don't really like the look of it that much. It's a bit too bland, but I do think the matte finish on the back is really nice. It's better than any glass phone I've used, because they all tend to get a bit fingerprinty, and then you've got to wipe them down like with your shirt every 20 minutes or so, if you're like an OCD fellow like me. But yeah, the matte finish on this, though it is plastic, that makes it more resistant to shatters and stuff like that when you drop the phone. So yeah, I'd actually probably rather have this plastic over a lot of glass phones like the OnePlus Nord. I used to have to like touch and it'd get dead fingerprinty, because I use a special type of hand wash, because I used to have eczema. You probably don't need to know that much, but yeah. But yeah, overall, I'm quite liking the design of the Pixel 4a. The mint power button is really nice, and the matte back's really nice as well. As far as bezels go, I think the bezels on the Pixel 4a aren't like incredibly large, but they're not incredibly thin either. I will do a separate comparison directly to the OnePlus Nord, but the bezels on the Pixel 4a can't really compete with the OnePlus Nord's bezels. They're actually really nice and slim. But at least it's about the same size as an iPhone 11 if you've ever used one of those. You also get a single punch hole camera with another 12 megapixel sensor in it, which is another Google camera, so that's going decently well. Still has that magenta hue that I don't really like on Pixel cameras, where it just literally just goes Google Pixel pink saturation levels up. But yeah, it just basically boosts up your magenta levels. I don't know why, it just like puts this nice pink thing around you. I don't know, I've had this with the Pixel 3a and also the 4a now, so I don't think this is going anytime soon, but I just prefer a more natural look. It's honestly Google, like what you do with the back camera on the front. That's basically the back and front cameras. The one last thing that I'm missing out, which is display. So speaking about the bezels that we spoke about before, the bezels are pretty decently small, they're pretty decently sized. So yeah, we'll move on from that now because we've already talked about it. On the display side, we get a 1080p 60Hz AMOLED display. It's pretty much the exact same display that I use on the Pixel 3a XL when I reviewed that, but just in a smaller package because there's no XL model of the Google Pixel 4a. But if you did buy the 3a, you would get a 0.2 inch increase in display size, so that's always good. But when I'm typing, it does really get quite annoying because it's such a small size. You know, AMOLED 60Hz, 1080, you know, what you kind of expect from this price range. You may even expect an LCD, but I would expect, as someone who reviews quite a lot of budget phones, I'd expect a 90Hz AMOLED or a 60Hz AMOLED at this price. Maybe even a 120Hz LCD. Display on the Google Pixel 4a, not amazing, but you know, it gets the job done. I definitely noticed the difference between the OnePlus Nord's 90Hz and the Google Pixel 4a's 60Hz. I do think Oxygen OS is just the smoother operating system out of both, out of stock Android and Oxygen OS. I'm going to get flamed in the comments for that. Basically on the OnePlus Nord, the screen refresh is 1.5 times quicker, so you can notice it. If you're a tech head like me especially, you will get to notice 90Hz displays over 60Hz, and oftentimes you can see like individual frames and things like that. Not really that much, but basically probably the phone that you're using now is probably 60Hz, so just compare that to go into a store and just have a play around with a 90Hz phone like the OnePlus 8 or like the Google Pixel 4 when it's on a decent setting, and you should be able to tell a difference. And if it's worth upgrading for you, then maybe you should upgrade. But yeah, this has a 60Hz display, so it's not as good as a 90Hz. But overall, the display is pretty decent. The colours are pretty nice, and it displays the pictures that you get out the Pixel camera really well. You know, it just gets you along. Nothing special, but nothing bad either. Now, moving on to the stuff that I don't really like about the Pixel 4a. So the Pixel 4a has a plastic build, and while that may be good, sometimes it can get scratches. I've not had it scratch once, the Google Pixel 4a, but with the 3a I had it, the display used to just get scratched quite a lot. I actually had to sell that at a discounted price just because it was pretty scuffed up, because when I was going to school, I used to hit it against the stairs accidentally. Bit stupid of me, but yeah, the Google Pixel 3a was using Dragon Glass, I think it's called, something like that. And the Google Pixel 4a, I'm happy to see, is using Gorilla Glass 3. So that's not too bad, but you know, it's not as good compared to some competitors like the OnePlus Nord, say again. But there are other phones, most other phones use Gorilla Glass 5 now, but the Pixel is using Gorilla Glass 3, so it's not as durable as some of those other phones. So if durability is one of the things, they're probably not the Pixel 4a, because, you know, plastic back, Gorilla Glass 3 screen. But apart from that, I really don't have that many other issues with the Pixel 4a, apart from that stuttering I was getting in the software. I would have liked to see 90Hz, but honestly at £350, especially for a phone that is most likely going to be sold more in the UK and US markets, instead of more like a Xiaomi phone that's obviously, you know, aimed at the China markets where there's a lot of mid-range competitors. I do think this is quite a decent price for a phone that's pretty damn good, especially those cameras. Those cameras though. I think you got one of the best pictures of me of all time while I'm in that lovely polo jacket. That's my new YouTube logo now. That's how good it is. So yeah, the Google Pixel 4a, decent at a lot of things. It doesn't really excel at much, but the cameras and the software are really what hold the phone together. Software, I still think Oxygen OS is better, but the camera absolutely destroys everything. And there's not really any competitors to the Google Pixel 4a, not even at the flagship level. They've also improved the edge detection. So yeah, it basically caused a few problems and it wasn't amazing to get that really nice pixel black background blur. But now they fixed that with the better edge detection. Anything else that excels at that price range for the Google Pixel 4a, but it's still a really good phone for the price. I will be doing my full review. This is quite actually in depth. I didn't expect it to be this in depth, but I'll do my full review soon, and you guys better be watching out for that. So make sure you subscribe for more twice a week, or even more if I feel like it, tech content. And so yeah, I hope you guys actually like the new setup as well. But yeah, I'll see you next one. Bye bye.